Millionaire single dad saw woman beaten, her baby taken away, then he buys ex-husband's house and gets her baby back. The rain poured like judgment from the sky as Daniel Royce sat in his black SUV at a red light in the heart of Atlanta. He was a man with everything: wealth, a mansion overlooking the city, and a 7-year-old daughter who had saved his soul after losing his wife in a tragic accident. Yet, despite all the luxury, there was a restlessness in him, a quiet ache he couldn't shake. As the wipers swiped away the storm from the windshield, a sudden movement on the sidewalk caught his eye. A woman, barefoot, soaked, her clothes torn, was being dragged away by a man while she screamed, "Please! Not my baby! Don't take her!" The man shoved her into the gutter and disappeared down the alley with a crying infant in his arms. Without thinking, Daniel leapt out of his car. "Hey!" he shouted, chasing after the man, but the alley was slick and empty. By the time he turned back, the woman lay curled on the sidewalk, sobbing uncontrollably, blood mixing with rain on her temple. Daniel knelt beside her. "I'm calling an ambulance." "No," she whispered, "they'll just take me in. And I'll never see my baby again." Her name was Elena. She was 26, soft-spoken, with eyes too tired for her age. Her ex-husband had beaten her for years, controlled her every move, and now, after a cruel custody battle aided by slick lawyers and lies, he had legal rights to their baby, Lily. That evening, he showed up unannounced and took her by force, as Elena tried to stop him. Daniel was a businessman, not a hero. But something inside him snapped. Maybe it was the pain in her voice that echoed his late wife's cries in her final moments, or the thought of his own daughter being taken from him. Maybe it was simply time for him to stop watching pain and start doing something about it. He helped Elena to her feet and brought her home, to his home. Despite her protest. "Just for a night," he said gently, handing her a warm towel and a plate of soup. "No one should be alone tonight." Days turned into weeks. Elena stayed in a guest room and helped care for Daniel's daughter, Grace, who bonded with her like a long-lost sister. Elena had once dreamed of being a teacher, and her gentle way with Grace made Daniel's heart ache in admiration. Yet every night, Elena cried silently, clutching the baby blanket Lily had left behind. "She's with him," she'd whisper, "and I have no power." Daniel had power. And that realization changed everything. He hired a private investigator to look into Elena's ex-husband. What he found was chilling: restraining orders from former girlfriends, hidden income, threats, and surveillance footage from a neighbor's doorbell cam showing him forcibly taking Lily from Elena that rainy night. But there was more. The ex-husband was on the verge of losing his house to foreclosure, living above his means while pretending to be the ideal father on social media. Daniel saw an opening, and took it. Without telling Elena, he bought the man's house through a shell company, under the radar, then waited. One afternoon, Elena stood in the living room, frozen, staring at a set of documents Daniel had placed before her. "This is his house." Daniel nodded. "Now it's mine. And you have legal grounds to reopen custody with new evidence. My legal team is ready. You won't fight this alone." Tears spilled down Elena's cheeks. She couldn't speak. She just threw her arms around him, sobbing into his chest. "Why would you do this for me?" He held her tight. "Because someone has to. Because I know what it feels like to lose someone and have the world just watch. And because Grace and we're better with you in our lives." The court case was brutal, but this time, Elena had truth, evidence, and support. The judge, a stern woman with a soft spot for mothers who fought back, ruled in Elena's favor. The moment the gavel fell and custody was granted, Elena collapsed to her knees in the courtroom, weeping. 2 days later, Lily came home. She was confused at first, toddling into the arms of a mother who hadn't seen her in nearly 2 months. But as Elena sang softly, rocking her in the same chair that once belonged to Daniel's late wife, Lily began to hum along, laying her head on her mother's chest like nothing had changed. Daniel stood by the doorway, Grace holding his hand. She's safe now, he whispered. Elena looked up. Because of you. No, he said, stepping into the room, because of love. Yours, and a little of mine. In the months that followed, something beautiful bloomed. Elena stayed. Not just as a guest, but as part of the family. They built routines. Grace and Lily chasing each other through the halls, Elena cooking breakfast while Daniel played guitar in the mornings, laughter echoing where grief once lived. One evening, as the sun set over the hilltop house, Daniel took Elena's hand on the porch. You know, he said, I used to think money made me powerful. But that night, when I saw you lying in the rain, I realized power means nothing unless you use it to lift someone else. She smiled through tears. You didn't just lift me. You saved me. He looked into her eyes, then down at Lily playing in the yard, Grace beside her. No, he said softly. You saved me. In a world too often blind to suffering, one man chose to act. Not because he had to. Not because it was easy. But because kindness is the greatest power of all. And sometimes, the richest hearts are the ones who give, not what they have, but who they are.